Okay, this Ask Energy is a fantastic question. Actually, they always are. And thank you for submitting. Keep submitting your questions because I love answering these. But this is a popular one I usually actually get on a weekly basis. And that is, should I take a probiotic supplement? Now, I have done a lot of writing on prebiotics, prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, sorry. And you can find all those great articles on the Energy Performance website under the article database. But let me just kind of tell you my philosophy with this. Now, granted, depending on the registered dietitian or nutrition professional that you ask this question to, should I take probiotic supplement? You're going to get different answers. Okay. We all have different philosophies with this. Yes, I will start with the foundation. If you can get some probiotic rich foods in your nutrition plan from Whole Foods, that would be fantastic. I mean, honestly, that would be the way to go. But I mean, how many of us get between 2 to 4 servings of fermented foods a day? We just don't these days, right? And it is difficult. I get this, right? Now, I will say this. Probiotics are absolutely beneficial. So are prebiotics, so are postbiotics, which are made from pre and probiotics. Sorry for all the tongue twisting here. Now, here's the thing. Back to the question. Should you take a probiotic supplement? Maybe. So let me expand a little bit on this. If you have gut issues, if you normally have GI distress or some symptoms like bloating, flatulence, something like that, and maybe it's even like normal for you, but kind of abnormal, like outside the bell-shaped curve for you, and you're thinking something is wrong, a probiotic supplement is not going to fix that, right? Now, it could be part of a treatment protocol, but one probiotic supplement is not going to fix it. You have to fix your gut health first, right? Before you introduce these supplements. Because here's the other thing, your gut health thrives on different types of probiotics, different types of bacteria. And that's actually why you see most probiotics will have, if you look at the back of a label or whatever for a supplement, it'll have, between 5 and 10, sometimes more, different strains of bacteria from the lacto, from the bacillus, from the bifido, all from those classifications. So there's a reason for that. Back to the whole thing. Okay, fix your gut first, right? You have to do some things in terms of stress, in terms of food and eating. Absolutely. Now, if your gut is in a decent place and this is where you're thinking about a probiotic, then I am all for it. I don't think anyone should take a probiotic just to try to fix things, right? Because you need to do a lot of work before that. But if things are fixed, or maybe your gut is on the mend, right, to get that way, to get fixed essentially, which when I say fixed, by the way, I'm just talking about balance of good bacteria and bad bacteria. Okay, that's what we're trying to talk about here. So I believe a probiotic supplement could absolutely be beneficial when you are on the mend or when you're trying to keep the balance of good and bad bacteria. Now, does everybody need a probiotic supplement? I don't think so, right? Again, it depends on how you eat. If you're getting prebiotic rich foods, those fiber rich foods, if you're eating fermented foods, right? Anything fermented will help with that, will help introduce probiotics. But here's the thing too. I classify those needing probiotic supplements with those at times of high stress. So it could be an athlete in a high training load. It could be a normal person who is not an athlete per se, but exercises and is trying to balance life, right? You're trying to balance family and work and social commitments, or you're traveling a lot, right? I look at introducing probiotic supplements when there are increased stressors of your life. Now, it could be acute, right? It could just be for a few weeks, a few months, right? Absolutely. Those are the times I like to introduce the conversation of a probiotic supplement. So think about it. If you are encountering any of those high stress situations, it may be good to take a probiotic supplement. Do you need to take one all the time? Probably not, right? We hope that you're not in that stressful situation all the time. But here's the thing too, back to the probiotic supplements. If you are going to take one, here are my recommendations. Rotate between 2 or 3 of them. So buy one probiotic supplement, take all of it, right? Meaning it usually takes about a month or 2, depending on how big the capsules or fluids or whatever, how many servings you have in there. So Go through that one company of probiotic supplement and then introduce another company and then another company. So if you rotate between 2 or 3 different companies, here's the key here. You're introducing different strains of bacteria. And that's actually what we want to do, because here's the other thing with probiotic supplements. Unless you've had a stool test, you have no idea what bacteria actually live in your gut. So if you have not had a stool test and you're introducing probiotic supplements, it's kind of like rolling the dice, right? So you may get some benefit into introducing some good bacteria strains into your gut, but you may not know that without the testing. So the way I like to not get around that, but to think about it, is just introduce different strains every time you are taking a probiotic supplement. Again, I think it's a lot easier. Instead of rotating 2 or 3 different probiotic supplements at the same time, just go through one about a month or two, get another one, right? Here's the thing though, they have to have different strains of bacteria. So you have to do a little bit of research. You have to look at the label and make sure, because there are billions, trillions of these, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting different classifications in all of the different types of probiotics. So with that said, my rules of thumb are look for a minimum of 5 different strains in that probiotic supplement. I really like 10, but if you can go minimum of 5, maybe up to 10, that would be fantastic. That's different strains. And again, you'll have some from the lacto, the bifido, and the bacillus. Those are the 3 most common. The second piece of advice I have for you is make sure there are at least 25 billion CFUs, colony forming units. So that you will see that on the label. It'll always say 10 billion CFUs, 25, 40, 50, sometimes 100 billion. I like a minimum of 25 billion or more. Okay. Now, once you look at the different strains, and you're going to rotate those every few months, right? And you look at the CFUs, then you want to make sure that you are taking them consistently during the higher stress periods. Okay. Does that mean you should not take them during lower stress periods? Maybe, maybe not, right? A lot of this comes, like, the reason why I'm struggling with that answer is because it depends on what you're eating, right? If you're introducing fermented yogurts, right, with live cultures, you have to actually look at that, by the way. Not all yogurts have live cultures. So you actually have to look at with live cultures on the label, look for that. But if you're eating fermented foods, if you're eating sauerkraut and pickles, of which, by the way, they need to be in the refrigerated section, not the aisle section at room temperature. Those are not fermented. Those do not have the live cultures, because live cultures need to be refrigerated in order not to die. Miso, kombucha. Kombucha is a tricky one because they put so much sugar in kombucha that sometimes, like, the sugar doesn't really, kind of offsets gut health. So I'm a fan of kombucha, it's fine, but the ones with lower sugar, right? So anytime you can introduce fermented foods, it's absolutely good. So here's my thing. If you're going to introduce probiotic supplements, do a couple months of rotating different companies, different products, right, with different strains, with the CFUs at least 25 billion. And then maybe during that time, you're experimenting with different fermented foods, right? I'd never want someone just to rely on a probiotic supplement for better health, right, for better gut health. Food is the way to do that primarily. The supplement is merely a supplement to help at certain times. So if you think about that you might not actually need a probiotic supplement all of the time, just during higher stress times. And then during lower stress times, what I like to recommend is getting your nutrition in check. So eating those prebiotic rich foods, adding those probiotic rich foods into your nutrition plan. So that's an easy way to look at it. Long-winded answer to the question, should you take probiotic supplements? As always, it is a little bit more of a complex answer, but hopefully this Ask Energy question and answer time helped a little bit. And in the comments below, I will actually, or in the description below, I'll put a couple links to the articles that I wrote on prebiotics and postbiotics, just so you can kind of read up on those. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for submitting the Ask Energy question, and I will see you on the next one.